another edition of RSF Radio. I'm your host, Joe Monday, and this is the podcast where we talk about what's been going on the front page of our Street Fighter and the FGC in general. Usually, we have a guest. Not today. Solo Joe Show. I actually hate that all. I'm thinking in my mind how much time it would take for me to reset this, like a minute. I'm not going to, but I didn't like that. Anyway, solo show. I have a lot of backlog of emails that I want to get to. I want to clear out the inbox. I'm an inbox zero kind of person. I don't know if you guys are inbox zero. My wife isn't. And it gives me anxiety when I look at her mail and it's like it is over 1,000, and it gives me stress. It's actually kind of stressing me out thinking about it right now. I'm getting like anxiety, like the muscles in my back are tensing up in a way that is uncomfortable thinking about an inbox what is over 1K. It might be close to 2K. I can't say that out loud. It's going to hurt me when I think about it. But no, we're going to clear it out. Get some emails. I do want to say, though, if you came to this show looking for Capcom Cup coverage of a bracket rundown, the good news, there are other podcasts that will do that extensively, like top to bottom all the way through. Why triple down on this situation? You could go listen to Best of Five. That's a great show. You could go listen to Ultra Chen. That's a phenomenal show with people who have done live commentary for those players before, who know their history, all that good stuff. So you should go listen to some other stuff. I mean, I could offer my opinions. We talked about it last week with Glenn. Game 2K came on, gave predictions. I don't want to double dip on that. This is not a Dunkaroo of a podcast, even if it does have that special something. What Dunkaroos are? I'm just thinking about Dunkaroo. I did not eat dinner, and now I'm just thinking about like getting that round shape of the Dunkaroo, and that's for like clearing out the bottom. And damn, you can just like get it. Only 90s kids. Do they probably still make Dunkaroos, right? I could probably go to a store and get that anyway. But no, solo show, going to clear out the inbox. Go listen to the Best of Five or Ultra Chen. I'll include those links in the show notes if that's what you want. But I do want to take a moment before we really get into things, a little bit of a somber moment for the FGC. There's been another death within the family. Shane Shiza Cummings has passed away. There's not a lot of info out there right now. I only heard about this a couple of hours ago, so this is fresh. I don't know what the requests of the family are, or if there's arrangements. There's nothing of that to speak of right now. You would know this player from the West Coast, a Wednesday Night Fights regular, or in 2010 when he got top 8 in Super Street Fighter. Was it Super at that point, or just Street Fighter 5? I have to do the math. I'll have to run the numbers on that. Very solid Chun-Li. Got 7th, tied for 7th place. Had a really good run. Took out a lot of really strong players that year, and just an overall good person. And from all accounts, his friends and family are pretty devastated right now. But again, I don't know what the wishes are, so if it's like a back off situation, maybe back off or go all in. I believe that Wednesday Night Fights is doing some, as of I'm thinking about like when this podcast will release, which is a day after Wednesday Night Fights will have happened, which I think they'll have something up for him tonight. So if maybe there's something to donate to, like a GoFundMe, that's pretty common within the FGC in times like this, or maybe like a donation drive to some kind of charity that happens occasionally. Whatever it ends up being, I just kind of want to throw that out there and let people know that that is kind of a downer right before Capcom Cup and all the good feelings that we're going to feel here in the next couple weeks or so. People are getting hit hard with this one, so just wanted to throw that out there before moving on. So some more fun stuff, because it's not all bad. This is just something that happens within the community. Like, it's it's rare, but unfortunately it does happen. There was at least... it's one of those things where every time it does strike us, it's like... that's when the community feels extra small to me, where it's a lot of the same people. You run into a lot of the same names over and again. And when there is a loss of especially someone who keeps coming back and has invested so much into the community, where that is just taken from you, and it's hard. So much love for anyone who needs it at this time, and best wishes to friends and family. Moving on, though, to brighter topics. Let's go into the questions, because I've got that back catalog. I've got that. I'm working towards inbox 0. So let's actually start with one. Let's go to this one. Here's some fun. Here's just some light brevity of a question that I think is maybe appropriate. So this question comes in from Matt. He says, I have a question about how you would feel about a rival mascot. Probably another dog that could vie for the mascot of our Street Fighter. A beagle, perhaps? We got Brick, though. Who gonna fight Brick? Here's the other thing, is that even though Brick is the official dog of our Street Fighter, I believe that door is still open to, like, kind of all dogs. It's like Brick... and then any dog wants to have or have affiliation with. I might extend this to cats as well. Who knows? Or any kind of indoor pet, what you can cuddle with. Might extend it to. So if you do have a dog or a cat, or maybe I might extend, if you have like a good fish, if you got a cool fish that you think is cool, or a lizard, a snake. If you have a Street Fighter snake, maybe we can include that. There is no official bird of our Street Fighter. There's no official, Brick's the official dog, but there's no like official animal. Like extend that out, you know. There's no official cat of our Street Fighter. I mean, there's a whole world of possibilities of official. So maybe if you guys want to fight for that position, tag at WRSF on Twitter.com, or maybe I'll make like a mega thread on our Street Fighter that's like, we know that Brick is the official dog. What if there are other official animals? What if it's region based? The official dog in California could be someone else's dog. Who knows? I'm willing to expand that, because it's about Brick's about inclusivity, not exclusivity. Speaking of Brick, and I guess I should say this as well, for those of you who don't watch the weekly tournament, or don't know about that for some reason, the Twitch channel that we run, all of the money from subs that we get goes towards player sponsorships. So right now we're sponsoring Ceroblast 210, the LCQ, which is coming up, and that's all good and taken care of. The Twitch subs is kind of like it builds a war, because it doesn't pay out like immediately. It's just something that I know that the channel has, just in case like we don't meet goals at a certain time, or just I'm like doing the quick math, and there's some overlap there because of how Twitch payouts work. But the update is that I just looked, and Twitch was like, hey, you have enough, you can have 4 emotes now for tier 1 subs. We used to only have 1. And I was like, great, cool. Let's actually make the emotes that we have available for tier 1. So you get the Brick baited. I added a new one, which is Reddit Goldblum, which is just Jeff Goldblum's face. That one might get taken down. I don't know yet. But if you like a Goldblum, get it in now. Get your Goldblums out there. And also, if you're tier 1 sub, you can do Reddit Gold right now, and then you get the flex. There's still an open slot, so if there are suggestions for that open slot, we're listening. I don't want it to be like I don't know. People have suggested like use your face or something, but like I'm not going to own this channel forever. It's not going to be, I'm going to pass this down to someone else. It's not going to be, I'm not the face. Not always going to be, but so it's got to be something cool. So think about that as maybe you're listening to this show, have ideas, write into the show. Maybe write an email so I can get this box back down to 0. The second part, there's a second part of this question from Matt, which is how do you feel, or how do you deal with interludes and moving between parts of the tournament when commentating? More specifically, how do you make it seem natural? So what he's talking about is that time between matches. When you're commentating, there is going to be, after the match ends, here's like a typical situation that happens between fresh commentators or people who have just hopped on mic and are like, I kind of don't necessarily care about this. They're watching the match. They're going, great, I'm talking about the match. The match just ended. Whoa, all right, congratulations. That person is moving on. Cool. All right. You hungry? I ate a burger before this, and then there's just like nothing afterwards, right? There's that pause where they were so invested and focused on what was happening, they hadn't thought about, oh yeah, that's right. In tournaments, it takes a while for players to be removed from their positions, get 2 new players in, and get them on stream. There is time there. So what do you talk about? You can, and what works for me is 2 things, and it's a mixture of having a back catalog of things that you can talk about and rap about for however long you need to. You can improv based on what is immediately happening, which is a little bit more rare, or you can know pitch to sponsors or whatever, or go to commercial break. That is if you need to be talking during that break. People like it. The people who run the stream typically like it when you switch to commercial break, which if you want to build a segue into it, fine, you don't have to, or you can just simply state something like, and let's just go over here to just want to thank again the people who make all of this possible. Just something quick like that. It doesn't have to be a Say Jam segue every time. You can just say like your canonized out your ripcord to pull if you just need to get to where you're going. And again, want to give thanks to the people who made this possible at HyperX or Sal's Salami Subs or Best Buy. This tournament is brought to you by Best Buy. Is there still one? I think that one Best Buy closed. Anyway, that's aside. We're not here to talk about Best Buy. So you can do that and know something about the product or service, what is sponsoring the stream or the tournament or whatever. Know something. Be able to talk about it. You can't just say, HyperX, thanks, and that be it. Just say like, oh, the audio quality is great. It rivals whatever else you have for your head cans or whatever the fuck. Like my Audio Technica, it's as good as my Audio Technica, or my Sannies. It's as good as a pair of Sannies. Or some fucking old school Costs. Doesn't weigh as much though. They're super light on the head and easy to wear for long stints of gaming. I don't know dick all about HyperX, but guess what? That's just right off the top. You can just roll with. You can also. Here's the thing that they don't tell you. The sponsors won't tell you. You can just fucking lie. You can just make shit up. And the best part is, like, the more hyperbolic you become with the making stuff up, you can just chalk it up to, I was just being hyperbolic about the situation. And then it's like a funny goof. It's a gag. Like, you could say, oh, man, the thing about HyperX is that you can turn that volume all the way up to 11, and actually, it has a warning to, it says right here on the label, and I'm looking at it down here on the thing, will melt a child's brain if put up to 4 and under, be careful. Will melt brain is too loud for toddlers. So if you or if you need to get rid of a toddler, HyperX could be a good solution to make it look like an accident. Just weird shit. Like, you could just go, you could just let it roll and just have that, just make shit up about your spot. Like Sal Subs. You know what? One time I went to Sal Subs. I ordered my sub. He'd already made the sub. And, oh no, for whatever reason, I didn't have my wallet on me, and I felt like a heel because there was the sub. It was waiting for me. Oh my gosh. Sal Salami Subs, he's got that thin salami. It's like, where does the flavor go but your mouth? But right now it's on the table, and I can't buy it because I don't have any legal tender. Guess what? Sal was like, you know what, man, this one's on me. You've been here enough times. I trust you. You're a quality customer. And I mean, honestly, that one sub bought a customer for life. They'll take care of it, Sal Subs. That didn't happen. I don't know a Sal Subs, so Salami Subs. That's not a thing that exists where I'm from. But you could just make that shit up. Who's gonna check during this trip? Most people have mentally logged off. They're not fucking listening to you, but Sal's gonna listen, maybe, and he'll be like, yeah, that might not have happened, but that makes my business look good. Fucking rad. I don't know, just it'd be cool, so you could do that with talking about sponsors. Also, make sure to rehash what people are watching, the names of the people on, and who, you have to hit that station identification, right? When you're listening to radio, you gotta say the name every couple fucking minutes. I don't know what the FCC rule is these days, but top of the hour, every half hour, you have to say what people are watching. Just make sure you say it out loud into a microphone. The other thing is that you can have pre-prepared bits. This is actually there are some people that do this, some people that don't. It's kind of up to you. But have if you have a story to tell or an anecdote, something that might apply to a situation that just happened, feel free to share. Just kind of go off, have that thing that you've prepared in your head and just test that out on mic, see how it does. Do your type 5 and then get out. That's all you need. It might bomb, but it doesn't matter. You filled in that dead space with because think about any old sports. Here's the thing you can do: listen to sports radio, specifically American football, because in American football, fuck all is happening for long periods of time. That is your choice. What are people talking about in between downs? Because the action is over in a second, and then now we got to fill for time. Now there was a timeout. Now I have to talk about whatever the fuck. Do what they do. Emulate what they're doing in that situation and try and figure out what works for you or what kind of flair you can add to that. If you want to tell a story about your home or how you got to the event, something like that people will tell story, or a time where you ran into this player, or I remember when this player did this back in whenever. That works along with player history. And there are also websites that you can use to learn player history, FG Combo is a good website for that. Much recommended. Good app too. Check that out. But there's just some random tips. Also, full disclaimer: online commentary is a different beast from commentary when you are at a venue in the event. The electricity is around you. When you are sitting literally by yourself in a room and you are away from where the action is, there's a different energy there that you have to feed off of and just be in that space. With that, there's a lot more talking over, and at some point it's gonna have to be okay when you don't have a physical cue with the person or persons what you are commentating with. Just go, I think this is gonna, and then people might have to back off, or they might double down and you have to back off. It's just that comes with time when you work on that. But Again, totally different thing. All right, next question. Because I gotta clear out this inbox, and I didn't think that question would take that long to answer. I'm sorry. This question comes in from Eli. And he asks, what's one thing you learned in school that isn't job related, but stuck with you anyway? And when I read this question, I actually had something that was stuck in my mind, like for sure kept with me, but I have two things I want to share. I went to Pitt, School of Engineering, and the professor that I think sticks with a lot of people that went through the civil department is John Euler. Dr. Euler was he's the fucking man. He would, oftentimes, he had box seats to Penguins games, and he, for the year. No, I'm sorry, not box. He just igloo seats. And he'd be like, you know what, here you go. I've got two. Who wants them? Anybody? All right, cool. And because he's like, my wife and I can't make it. Unfortunately, his wife did pass away a couple of years ago, and that was just I feel like that hit everyone that had been through that school in the last fucking decades. The dude's 80s. He's up there. He's an old dude. But ask anyone who's ever met him. He's a fucking man. Anyway, I will remember one time when I went into his office I just had a question about the mechanics of how something was working in the structure. It was a structures class. It was how does this really relate to... Anyway, while I was there, though, a woman came into his office, and she was trying to sell him on updating the course book to say, well, you should really update it to the latest version it has. And I'll never... it seemed rude at the time. He was like, I'll stop you right there. I'm not going to do that. You're wasting your time. Go pitch to someone else, because this ain't it. Or something along those lines. He cut her off, and it was done. She was out. And then kind of a beat where we're just sitting there before he gets back to the blackboard where he was, or where we were writing stuff out. And he goes, well, he says, if someone starts a sentence with "you should," then they're trying to tell you that what you're currently doing is incorrect. And if you're confident in what you know, you can stop listening to them. I was like, damn, this guy is so fucking... He knows exactly what he wants to do, knows exactly how effective it is. So when anyone came up to hey, if you should do that, actually, I know what's best for me. I'm going to do that. I've got to carry that with me. Now, I'll admit sometimes that can be a little bad. Sometimes you have to open up to new ideas or new things, especially if the way that you're currently doing something is hurting someone else, especially in those situations. But that's something that in my mind where if I know that this works, I know that Geef's Gym works. People tell me that it works. I've never gone through it. I don't know personally if it works, but enough people have gone through it to know and tell me that it works to make me comfortable to say, do this. And if someone says you should make the thing different or make the lesson this, I might consider it. I'm not as bold to say fuck you, fuck off, and stop listening. But I know this works, right? Anyway, second story I want to share. It's just something that happened in college that I just cannot... I think about this so often, about how someone was so smart, a super intelligent professor that just didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and it was so weird and awkward at the time that I can't help but think about it. Where here's what happened. A physics professor, he's giving a lesson on wavelengths and how wavelengths propagate differently through different types of atmospheres. And for whatever reason, he was like, you know what will be best to visually and audibly describe to everybody how waves propagate through different atmosphere is, we all know this, helium. You suck on the helium and your voice gets higher. And here's like why that happens. And he could like explain the whole situation. And he had the balloon with him. He was holding it up the whole time. And already everyone's like, yeah, we fucking know what happens when you do that. You don't have to he didn't even need the visual aid because he could just say, this happens with helium on balloons. You go, fucking obviously, this is just pretty common knowledge until the world eventually runs out of helium because, the future is dark and grim for helium. It's too light. Or not massive enough. Anyway, fuck you. But he's holding the balloon, and the very end of it, he's like, here, I'll show you. You've been waiting for this the whole time. I know. I'll show you how to do it. But he was approaching it as if when someone, and maybe you don't know, and this is fine, but someone who's never smoked weed before or never done a drug comes into contact with the drug and they're like, I'm gonna do the drug. I'm gonna do this. Here it comes. We're looking at it as if he super didn't want to. And before he goes to suck in the helium, like a normal human would do, he says to us I don't like the idea of not breathing in oxygen. I think the whole room was what is he not gonna breathe in it? What the fuck is he even saying? Also, it's just one balloon of heat. It wasn't even a full balloon. What the fuck is going on? And then he's like, okay. And then he somehow, him saying that gave him the courage to go back to this balloon and stare down the barrel of this helium gun. And he didn't put it to his lips and let it fart into his mouth from 5 inches away, going as it's going, trying to breathe in as the fart of the balloon is farting into his mouth from 5 inches away. And the whole class is just watching this extremely intelligent physics professor who is he has worked at NASA, just so smart fucking human being, breathe in this helium fart from 5 inches, letting the fart blow all around his face. Dude, what the, you don't do normal humans don't do that. Just suck in the balloon like a normal human and show us that your voice gets high like this. And also, you didn't fucking need it because all humans know that's what happens when you suck on a helium balloon. The whole conceit. He brought it in, scared of it. Oh man. I don't know if that was I'm gonna do this to get over my fear, and then he backed off the ledge at the last minute. I don't know if that was the situation. I would be scared if it was, but anyway, I say that all to say that from that moment, it doesn't matter how intelligent or smart someone is, sometimes they can do something really fucking dumb. No one is immune to that. Anyway, let's get something that's a little more fighting game related. Let's get back to it, because we've kind of lost the thread here. Talk about physics. Okay, this comes in from Mark. So here's my dilemma, Joe. I need some encouragement leveling up my scene. There's a V-Trigger 2 Ryu... So, there's we fucked up already. That is so frustrating for me to try to teach not to smash V-Trigger 2 parry. Because beating him just becomes a mini-game of me baiting V-Trigger 2 parry. As an intermediate player who really wants to improve, I know it will absolutely be beneficial for me in the long run to help the guys in my region grow as players, since we really don't have much of a scene here. How do I balance that with me trying to have fun and not just having to play the dumbest, least fun minigame that can be played in Street Fighter V, it feels like? This is an interesting dilemma because there are sometimes that dog don't hunt. Sometimes that dog don't hunt. Sometimes there are just players who will come through a community who just will refuse to learn anything. They have hit their limit of what they are willing to do and try, and the way that they want to play the game is just burned into their head, and they want to have fun. If they want to have fun that way, it's fucking fine. I'm not trying to disparage that, but sometimes you cannot change that player's mind, and you will have to focus your efforts elsewhere, or just like put in the energy into something else or some other player. Just say maybe this person's a lost cause, and you might do that for a little bit of fun, but not for you. The other thing that you can do is that times where you play this person is set up a separate conceit. Say in this set, let's not use any special attacks at all. Let's only use normal attacks. Yeah, you can combo, but just like no special attacks. And if you do, you have to like take a shot, or like if you do, I get to slap you in the face. Just like maybe put like a wager on it. Like if you use a special move in the neutral, or you no V triggers, no meter spent. Like maybe build a conceit like that. Then it becomes a different. You've like force that person to unlock something else in their brain. Maybe they'll take that forward. Maybe they won't. Maybe it doesn't matter to them. Maybe it's just like a fun conceit just for that match, and they'll forget it immediately. It'll be like an ethereal thought that just floated in and out like a ghost. Maybe. I don't know. But it might stick with him. Another thing that you can do is play their character better than they play their character, and show them the way. Show them V-Trigger 1 is the way to go. This is the way that you do it. In fact, if you parry a lot, or do what they do and let them punish you for it and be like, oh yeah, that is what I do all the time. I'm dumb. Like when you parrot someone who's dumb or saying something stupid, you say exactly what you double down on what they say. A situation like that where they can realize themselves, oh, I'm a fool this whole time. It could be, but again, I do want to just go back to sometimes it won't work, and sometimes you just have to put your energy and your efforts elsewhere. And like again, that's fine. It's fine for that person to go and enjoy themselves in the way that they are, but also you don't have to double down. You don't have to put good money after bad, you know? All right. So this next segment, kind of a rapid fire from Eli. There's a bunch of string of questions, but at the end of the questions, I might act... What am I going to do? Before the last question that is asked, I'm going to do something in the show that I've never done before. I said that I would do it previously, and I was afeared to. I was scared I didn't have the gumption, but now I'm going to try. We've got a hotline. There is an RSF radio hotline. I might say this, and it's going to be at the end of the show, which means I might cut it out entirely depending on how this goes. But there's going to be a hotline. So we're going to have callers come in and ask questions, or whatever happens. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know what will happen. I've really rolled the dice on this one. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to set this up before this string of questions. So by the end of it, hopefully there is a caller. So we kind of want to give a little bit of time. So let's go through some of these questions first, and then by the end of it, hopefully we have our first caller to the station. Fuck, this is a mistake. All right, first question though. Let's get to it. What's your favorite stage? My answer to this is KOF 12, France. If you don't know that stage, it is a very colorful stage. It's got lots of like tables with umbrellas out. I like a bright stage. I like bright colors in a stage. Lots of white, lots of like colors where you can separate, you can see, like, this is a bold, like, primary color. Here you go. Boom. Because, like, fighting wise, you can visually see things, and that's cool. But also, it pops. So I like colors. I love the large women in that stage is the other thing about it. It's got these large, for some reason in France, every person in France is a giant large woman wearing a red dress, and they fucking love fighting. There's a woman like doing like an arm pump. There's one that's going like a double arms. There's like a bread or like a baguette or like a hot, I don't know what the fuck it is. Just like chomping down, like going to town. Oh my God, do they love fighting. And it especially gets like so good whenever you get the KO, and then the like head banging woman, it's the hair back and forth. Oh, she's like Willow Smith up in this shit. It's so good. Great stage. And then number 3 reason why, giant killer whales just flying through the background. Just giant fucking killer whales. And if I get it, like, scale wise, you think to yourself, okay, they've only got so much screen to work with. They're not going to have like a small whale. It's got to be big. But if you think about the perspective and you think about where that whale's got to be, it's a fucking giant killer whale. It's enormous. It's huge. I love it. Oh, it's such a buck wild stage. Because, like, also, I said the colors, but they're not like France color. It's mostly, it is something where, like, I think in my mind they designed like a US, like, this is SeaWorld. But then just at the last minute we're like, we don't want to be mean to Americans. This is France? This is France now. I don't, it boggles my mind, and I love it. I love how active the background is. Anyway, whatever stage, write in your favorite stage. Next question. Again, this is the lightning round. Rapid fire round. Which as yet unrepresented country or area of the world should the next new fighter come from? I would like it to be a blonde woman with blue eyes. No. Let's fucking get away from that. No more. I don't want any more of that in Street Fighter, please and thank you. What we don't have, a extremely underrepresented shape type of person. I would like, whatever the country of origin is, I would like it to be a large woman, like a Zangief sized or like Birdie sized woman of color. So I'm thinking New Zealand Maori woman. You might think Maori warrior. Why not go the dude route? Too obvious. Let's go a little bit different. Maori woman. Get some face tats in there, like Nikali, but with actual culture behind it, and not like Nikali devoid of any culture or whatever the fuck. Like, what the fuck is a Nikali? Who cares? And also, your argument might be, a Maori woman, they don't fight. I don't know if that's true, but or some Polynesian woman, right? They might not fight. But also, what is a Blanca? Why would a Blanca want to fight? What's a G? He's just a tall man with a top hat and a gilded skin condition. He doesn't have a fighting style. There's like at least a fighting style with Maoris that you could add in, that you could steal from a little bit. So I want a large Maori woman as the final fighter of Street Fighter V. That's probably not going to happen. And I swear to God, if Capcom Cup happens, I will... I still need to eat a hat, don't I? If Capcom Cup happens and they reveal as the final character for Street Fighter V a blonde, blue-eyed woman, that's it, fam. Like, I don't know about this one, Chief. All right, next question. What does the FGC need in order to be more accessible to people with disabilities? This is a good question that I don't think belongs in the in the lightning round, but I'll entertain it because I think it's an important question that needs answered, and a question that we've talked about on the show before. Had Emily on the show. Go listen to that episode. Don't know the number on hand. Didn't write it down. But things that fighting games should have. And I think that's where this question is coming from, of like, what do we want in fighting games? But it might be larger than that. You might have to think bigger than that. A better person to ask this question, a better community to ask this question is Able Gamers. I actually think they're running a charity tournament this weekend as well. Interesting to run it opposite Capcom Cup, although I think it's a Tekken tournament. Regardless, look up Able Gamers. I think it's just Able Gamers on twitter.com. I think that's just their website you can go to. A great organization run by great people who have accessibility in the forefront of their mind, but also competitiveness at the forefront of their mind. They're not trying to cheat here. They're just trying to have the same access that anyone else has. But what I'll say is, like, in-game, developers could be thinking about color contrasts. There's just some colors of characters and stages, and this might get difficult with large number of casts, but you can do contrasts differently, right? For people who might be visually impaired, even just color blindness, right? The hit and the block, what do those things look like? Are they visually shaped different enough that would be enough for someone who has some visual disability could notice that easily? Visual cues that also match the audio cues, right? Because think about normal counter hits in Street Fighter V. They don't give a unique counter hit sound so much as, like, crush counters. You know when you get a crush counter, but you have no idea if you've landed like a counter hit jab, right? Let's say you're a blind person and you do wake up jab. You know it hit because you hear the hit, but you don't know if it counter hit. So maybe you'll just follow up with the medium punch anyway. And then, ooh, that was blocked. Did I just drop my counter hit combo, or was it just not counter hit? You might not know. And in that case, it's that removes that person's ability to do a counter hit confirm. So maybe make that audio cue a little bit different. Or, like a popping visual cue that the hit looks different they do the counter hit on the side. They do think about that. And there are other things that visually you can see, but like audio wise, there's no audio difference. Game developers need to think about like left and right audio as well. Of Street Fighter V does this now, of when characters are on the far right side of the screen, you'll hear their footsteps on the far right. If you're on the far left side of the screen, you'll hear that character on the left side. It will be left-right split, which people who run tournaments should have that in mind, that you might have someone who enters your tournament who is visually impaired and absolutely needs stereo sound in order to play. That could be a thing that you need at your tournament, where they physically cannot play the game if they do not have the ability to conceptualize what was happening on the screen, even if they can't see it. Like, and I know I'm saying this out loud to a probably small audience of blind players within the community, but they exist, and people who are blind have the same right to enjoy a fighting game what people with vision have. It should happen. And specifically, if they're at an event, they should have the ability to play and compete just like everybody else. Speaking of accessibility to tournaments, though, one more thing about games is key bindings are super important. Just because a disabled player might need the ability to change buttons and how the controller works, or change the location of the button to anything they want to. Have like small macros built into the game, like a V skill or a 3-punch button or hard kick, hard punch button, just assigned to a single button. Also, design-wise, build more option selects into your game. Option selects can be fun. I think that they can allow for, in the same ways that they allow you to input one set of inputs, could allow someone who doesn't have full access range of motion to the same number of buttons as someone, as any other player. Let's say they can only reasonably hit 4 buttons at a time with like in quick succession, right? There's only like 4 buttons in range to this person. They should still be able to play, I think. But what if it benefits them not macro style, but like option select style? Like in Street Fighter 4, if you did a crouch and did a throw, you would do crouching light kick. Do you work that into the way that you configure your stick or the way that you input combos? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there that makes your game more accessible. Okay. But that should also be in the game for like different types of, should have the ability to accept different types of controllers. That should be in game, and also allow for different key bindings. But in real life, at events, when people go to events, that can be prohibitive as well. It's not just the FGC as this is what's in the game to make it accessible, but how is your event accessible? Think about how many tournaments this year have stages, and maybe someone in a wheelchair cannot access that stage. Do you have the ability to have a monitor on the side of the stage for them, or do you have ramp access? Just questions that if you run an event, you should have in the back of your mind of, I have this ready if we need it for anyone who doesn't have the ability to get up on a stage, if you're going to have a stage. Or you also have to think about like cost prohibitiveness. I've heard many stories of people who have chairs that have to fly with chairs, and their chairs being busted up by like United or American Airlines, just like fucking up their chairs because people aren't trained to manage that piece of machinery or equipment. Just not like, I have heard that multiple times, not just one time someone's chair was broken by a flight attendant. I'm not trying to disparage flight attendant. I'm just saying it's happened. So it's just something to think of when tours are planned, in terms of, I mean, I want to open up that discussion at least, or have people thinking about how people who are disabled travel versus, or like maybe they need 3 people to help them, or 2 people. They travel with 2 people. That is 2 more people that have to go with them to an event. Maybe they can't travel alone. It's just, some of these things are cost prohibitive, so maybe if you run a very large tournament, to have that in mind. But anyway, at least in terms of what it costs someone like that to get to your event, and if your event in that case is not accessible to them, then it's a little bit prohibitive. All right. Before I get to this last bullet of the quick round, I'm just going to throw out this tweet, and oh boy, things might go bad. Oh boy. All right. And post. Okay, final question of the lightning round. Do you think the FGC should experiment with different tournament formats? If so, which? To which I say, yes, absolutely. I absolutely think that they should, but I think they should only fuck around with tournament formats outside of open brackets. So when you want to talk about different types of tournaments, make sure those are like invitationals, because the open bracket being open to the public and anyone can come and anyone can compete against any player, then like there's something to that is just the lifeblood of the FGC. But the other side of it is that has historically not allowed us to have different types of tournaments that could just get weird. If you listen to Glenn, the Game 2K, in the last episode, he's open for all kinds of stuff. And I think that there's room for that. I think there's space for that. I think the downside of that is that to have more invitationals, you need more money in the community, and that might not be something that we have currently or maybe ever. So maybe those things won't come in the future, but it's just something that I think more people should be open to different types of tournaments. Anyway, that is it for questions, but let's turn it on to the caller portion. We have a caller on the line. We've got caller. Yeah, you are live on RSF Radio. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
My apartment's 60 degrees. How do I fix that, Joe?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry, we didn't get that live on the show.
You didn't get what live on the show?
Caller, what's your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, I'm Noah Remy, and I'm coming from the cold bitterness that is my apartment, which is 60 degrees right now.
Ooh, that's low. Hey man, it got fucking cold in the northwest, the northeast, man. It is fucking frigid.
Why it be like that?
Sometimes it be that way. But what's up? What are you calling in for? What's your request?
Nothing. You just put a link out, and I just figured I would hop in here when nobody else was here.
That is a dangerous thing, what I've done. And honestly, who knows if I see more people in the lineup, it might get real shitty real fast. I don't know.
It really do be like that. But you were talking about invitationals and some Glen 2K stuff, which is pretty interesting.
Yes.
I've been thinking about it a little bit. I can't say I've given it a lot of thought, but just how invitationals seem to be very sparse this year. I feel like in years prior we had a couple more invitationals, although there is Red Bull Kumite not this weekend, but the next weekend, I believe.
Well, to that, it's kind of like there are, like, I don't want to disparage Red Bull. They do what they do, and that's great. But the way that they still run tournaments is still double elimination per region. But that makes sense, though, because they want to rally. Wait a minute, rise. First, they need to rise. They need to put their FGC in a proofing drawer to rise, then rally, then conquer.
I don't know anymore. Remember when it was called like Battlegrounds or Proving Grounds or any of the other grounds? I don't know anymore. Rise, Rally, Conquer is their motto, I believe.
Okay, currently, all right. Okay. Yeah, no, there is room for different things, but it's something that even before we were talking about how Super League could be a thing. If you look at areas like Incendium is one where like they've got that input from Super League. Incendium is an organization outside of Toronto, headed up by Drew Face, who commentated with us the other night. Or was that 2 nights ago? That was 2 nights.
Two weeks ago, yeah.
Weeks turn
into
days.
Really a week and a half.
Fuck me.
Like 10 days.
Man, these weeks just like fucking get longer and longer. I tell you what.
Every time.
But look, it's. I wonder if I've let the instructions on how to hop in the right channels out correctly.
Well, listen, Joe, I'll keep talking with you until people get it figured out.
I mean, maybe there's a channel that I've got like do I maybe call that like on deck where like caller go ahead. I might remove all of this. This might not make, ladies and gentlemen, this might not make the cut. This might not make it into the show.
That's fine. I'm okay with being cut.
We're gonna do it anyway. Actually, at least this part will stay in the show because Andy OCR just shared a GoFundMe to Shane Shazzy Cummings GoFundMe because he just passed away.
Yeah, that was somewhere. I want to look at it. I don't know.
I don't know the details of that, so I don't know if I don't know what happened. I just know that news hit us like hours before recording. But that link will be shared in the show notes to the GoFundMe page for anyone who's looking for it.
Yeah, definitely something that always hits the FGC hard when we lose a member. It's nothing that any of us take lightly.
The other thing is that next week is going to be your last week at the East Coast Online Local.
As a regular commentator, not going to say that I won't guest commentate some weeks when I have a free Monday where I'm out of work and home by 5 o'clock Western time because I am going out to the West Coast. Did I say Western time? It's Pacific time. Idiot. All right.
That's. You know what? You said it, and it didn't like hit me that it was weird. I was just like, yeah, the West Coast time.
Yeah.
Which is not distinct to just people on the coast. It's kind of a region than a coast, you
know? But it's definitely one of the things where I'm going to miss talking with you every single week. I feel like our friendship spun up rather rapidly, but it's had nice longevity to it.
Yeah, I've been happy to share commentary with you and see you grow as a commentator and as a player and as a community organizer. That has been fantastic. Even just in this last couple months, actually, this whole last year has been a good growth period for you, I want to say.
I just try to do my best every single year, take on new challenges. And that's really what it's all about for me, is just don't stop improving. But a lot of stuff happened this year for me. I swapped from Ryu to Guile and made leaps and bounds improvements there. I've almost doubled my LP online. Not that really matters, but I've gotten back into
like what are you talking about? LP is the only number that matters in terms of player skill.
I think the more important thing is I
didn't cut this whiskey with water, and every time I take a sip, my mouth is just like, oh, here we go. Let's get wet up in here, baby. It is. Oh boy. Oh man.
The more important number is my actual ranking number. I went from being like rank like 25,000 to being under 14,000 now. I haven't played in a couple days, so I might have gone back. But it's definitely been a lot of improvement, getting back to where I was like a year and a half ago, because of, I took an interesting way of approaching and growing my scene where I just kind of put all of my stuff on the back burner and focused on getting my scene and my what's the word I'm looking for? My scene, my community, back to where it should be.
Word.
How did I got pinged in something?
I was trying to ping others in this channel to let them know what the play is. But then also I accidentally hit my soundboard, unfortunately.
Okay, that might have been it.
So a weird thing happened, unfortunately. Nah, it's okay.
Yeah. And beyond that, I've delegated more and more stuff to my club. I've stepped down this semester from the board of people running stuff, and now have just been telling them all the things that they should kind of do.
Ooh, have you opened up the the Twitter accounts, all of the public shit?
Oh, for RTFGC? Yeah, I made us a website. I made us Twitter. I got us a Twitch. I did all the handover stuff. I told them to change all the passwords so that I wouldn't know. They end up telling me the passwords anyway, and I'm like, change them again.
No, honestly, there is no... you know what? I'm going to renege on that statement that I didn't even make. I was gonna say something and I have immediately taken it back. Just in case, let's say. Maybe I shouldn't give bad advice on this show. Wouldn't be the first time, but before I give the bad advice, let's not say something fucking stupid. All right. Let me try something out real quick. As we kind of close out this show, even though there are potentially more callers, I don't know that, but I want to try something first. Before we do that, though, Nuggeremi, what's your favorite station?
What's my favorite station? For what? I'm confused.
You've been listening to RSF Radio. This is
watch this.
This is 420.
Thank you guys.
Excuse
me, Joe.
RSF
Thank
Radio.
you for listening to another episode of r/SF Radio with the man with the plan. Not really a plan. You have no plan going for anything.
No, you're
Joe Monday.
You're calling in. I say, what's your favorite station? You say RSF Radio, and then I immediately hang up because that's how calling into a radio station works. No, Grammy.
I don't call it the radio stations. Listen, somebody.
69.60. Thank you. What's your favorite station? 69.69 RSF Radio. Woo! And then mid woo, I closed. God damn it! Learn the fucking rules of radio. All right, caller. Who's calling and where are you calling in from? You're currently muted. Turn off your radio.
Oh, hey, what's going on? It's Roger Flash from Holden Lake, Michigan. How's it going, Mr. Monday?
It's going quite well. Where are you calling in from? Or fucking answered that already. No, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? So I assume we're taking questions about Capcom Cup, sir?
Sure. Go. You're the second caller. What's up?
Oh, perfect. Love to be on the line. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So theoretical question. Let's say a character specialist like Punk, let's say, specializes in Karen. Let's say he wins the tournament and he goes, hey, I don't want to give an outfit to Karen. Can he give a costume to Chun-Li, his secondary character, if he wins Capcom Cup?
Yes. I believe that he can. Specifically because think about like Knuckle Dew, right? Knuckle Dew won with many characters and then chose to give it to Guile.
Okay.
Right?
See, at that point, I think Knuckle Dew was maining Guile. That was his, as far as I remember, that was his big character. I know Mika, he subbed in, Cammy, he subbed in. But Guile was his main. So when he gave Guile the costume, like, no big deal, because that was, what we all knew at that point, Knuckle Dew winning for. So, I don't know, it'd just be interesting to me to see, like, let's say Idazan makes it out of LCQ, wins Capcom Cup, God willing, and gives a costume to Abigail, which would be nice if he wins LCQ or wins the Capcom Cup with Zangief. I just want to see it happen, Joe. I just want to see it happen.
If Idazan wins Capcom Cup, it would be the funniest shit ever if he gave Chun-Li a costume. Like, here's the thing. If someone wants to, like, really who's like, I have my main, but I have a slew of other characters that I play, but I really just want to see this dumb thing on Chun-Li just to, like, really lean in hard to the Chun-Li's got a fuckload of costumes. Let's just load her up with as many costumes as we got. I can't get enough costumes on this Chun-Li. Put them on her. Increase that wardrobe. We need a walk-in closet for this girl. That's what I want to see.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it.
I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be upset. Let's put it that way.
Oh, you know what? Fair enough. That's all I needed for my question, Mr. Monday. Thank you for taking my call.
Before you go, I want to ask, how is the Abigail tournaments you've been running?
Abigail's tournament's been great. We've been doing really well. We've had a lot of players that have entered who actually don't main Abigail. Rotten Seagull is one of the big ones. He's a Fong main. And Geechib, our most recent winner of the Junkyard 2, he actually won the tournament with Abigail, also a Fong main, which has been very funny to me. And RF Hacker, or goes by Dadmin, who entered the last one. Another Fong main who entered the tournament.
Name. Fuck, I love good name. Dadmin is a good name.
Dadmin is a solid name. As soon as he brought it to my attention, that's so good. He actually, little backstory on RF Hacker there. He enters what they call hackathons or hack cons.
I've heard of that. So, well, I mean, anyone who's been to Evo in the last 2 years should know about hack cons because
exactly. Like it's stuff like that, and they get points where as a team they try to break into GM cars.
Okay,
and
cool.
Most recently, he was able to get a hold of GM on the phone and unlock a brand new car that wasn't owned by anyone. Get into the car using a. I don't want to give a bunch of details because I don't know the specifics, but essentially he called the GM. He was able to convince GM customer service that he owned the car, a car that was owned by no one, was able to get in and activate the on-call service. And their team got a bunch of points for that. And he named his entire squad the Dadmins. So he's just gone by Dadmin. So shout out to him for that.
Dadmin's good. That's fucking rad. Actually, that's actually a really good point. Anyone who has seen these character tournaments, right? Because it's like Tommy Two Step runs a all Urian tournament. I think it's is it AM Kid who runs an all Ryu tournament?
Yes, I think so.
That's not like a weekly thing, but what I'm saying is that's a good approach to it. Of I don't play this character, but I will enter this tournament so that maybe I can learn this character or just like be around these other people who main this character so that they can give me advice, so I can take that back to my actual main and use it against them. I like that.
Yeah, and it's worked out really well. Rotten Seagull has gotten back to me about like learning or using Abigail and covering his bad matchups.
Yeah.
Same thing with Geechib, our last tournament winner. He's gotten back to me. He went to his first local recently, and he was like, Abigail covers my bad matchups for his other characters like Ed and Fong. And it really does help a lot of people. Pulling out a secondary, even a gimmicky character. And I know Abigail happens to. A lot of people call him a gimmick character and whatever. It is what it is. But he really does help cover a lot of bad matchups for those characters, and it's been really cool to see those guys improve, and especially take tournaments over character specialists for Abigail, like Monk Unit, who's done really well in their tournaments, but he's lost to people who have secondaried Abigail. We had Tasty Blue in the last one, who ended up losing to A4 Rob. But they've been great. The support's been great, and hopefully we're gonna run the next one on January 11th. Is the Junkyard 3?
Cool.
The All Abigail tournament. So hopefully we'll see more people turn out and do really well with them.
All right, awesome. What's your favorite station?
What's that?
God damn. No, Grammy did the same thing. What's your favorite? Thank you for calling, Sriracha Flash. What's your favorite station?
My favorite station is rsfradio.com. Send all your questions into rsfradioquestions@gmail.com for your future questions to be answered on the show.
I think that I need to work in, I need an FM number. It's going to be like 69, 69. RSF
yeah, you
radio.
Need like the WQSF or WRSF.
Yeah,
like
WRSF 69, 69. Thank you for calling.
It's 69.9, the SF or something like that.
Yeah, 69.1.
See, that's the one you need, like 69.420. Like, you really lean hard into it.
FM radios don't go that high.
I know, but you're assuming that most of the people that listen to the show and play Street Fighter 5 have ever actually listened to the radio and remember those call signs. Like, so many of these young kids. Do you understand that, like, some of the people that are into the RSF tournament are the age of my oldest daughter? And I go, oh, that's why you make bad decisions. Like, I understand it because my kid is, like, the same age as you, so I get it now. Like, now everything makes sense. All right, well, thank you for having me on the show, Joe. I hope the rest of the show goes well, man.
All right, take care.
Yeah, you too.
All right. As of right now, I don't see any other callers in line for being on the show, but we're going to try this again at some point. Who knows what will happen? I kind of had fun with that. We'll see if that works out going in the future. But Sriracha Flash is right. If you do have questions, my inbox, I got inbox 0, baby. Inbox 0. Come at me with your 1,000+ inbox. Fuck off. We're down to 0 now, folks, of answered questions. Asked and answered. But if you have a question, do write into rsfradioquestions@gmail.com or hit me up on Twitter at RSF. No, not a thing. At Reddit SF or at Super Joe Monday. Or just go to our Street Fighter and see what's good, man. I'm there. I'll see it. I'll catch you. No, caller. No, no more callers. We're not taking any more callers. We're done. This show is ending. Deafen myself. Anyway, that's a show. We'll see you next Thursday. Same time, same place. Don't forget about the tournaments on Mondays and Fridays. No tournament this Friday because of Capcom Cup and all that business, but we'll catch you again next week. The other thing I want to say is, again, huge thank you to Nogremi for being at almost nearly every week co-commentator on the R Street Fighter Online Local. It has been a pleasure to serve with you, and I wish you the best in the future. And that's going to do it for a show, folks. Everything we talked about is going to be in the show notes. And we might do this again in the future because this was fun. Or if you guys like this portion of the show and want to call in and want that to be a thing, let me know. Maybe I'll throw a hashtag at it, so like anyone who's like follow can like follow hashtag and catch that open spot when it is open. This was very slapdash, very last minute, so I think it will make the cut of the show. But that's going to do it for another edition of RSF Radio. But until next time, folks, take care.